let's look at some sites where we can find pictures to source to use for our project. One of the places I usually start is Pexels. They're royalty free. They're free. You don't have to pay. The content creators are aware of their rights, and you don't have to give them credit. You can, but these are pretty much free to use, which is pretty great. And they usually have either the most recently uploaded or the trending stuff is going to be what's going to be on their homepage here. And you can see they also have videos, which is very convenient. Again, you don't know if you ever need videos to be posting on a social media site or to put on a website or anywhere where moving images are something you can use. So here are our trending topics here that it's telling me to look at. So we can just look for sky pictures, and you can see that we have a selection of sky pictures in different orientations that we can use here. And we're able to even narrow it down more if we want, to be pink or have the city in the picture, something like that, right? And so that's Pexels. Their license is right here on the top, and it's very clear on what you are and are not allowed to use. They're free, you don't have to give credit, and you can modify them. And here, what's not allowed is you can't make identifiable people look bad. So if someone takes a picture of somebody we would recognize, like Obama, we can't put him in a compromising position. You can't sell the pictures if they're not altered, because that wouldn't be fair. A lot of the pictures here are here for you to use to combine to make something. So that wouldn't be fair. Implying endorsement would be, again, we'll just use Obama as an example. If we recognize who the person is in the picture and you're promoting toothpaste, you can't be saying Obama is endorsing your toothpaste just because he's in the picture. And you can't, of course, redistribute them to other places, which would make sense, right? So you can't take a picture from Pexels and sell it to Shutterstock. That would not be fair. And one of the cool things about Pexels is that you can also upload projects to open calls that they have. And they have a few every so often, every couple months, I would say, where you can also upload and join here challenges is what they're called. And then they usually feature you in fun stuff like that. Another site that's essentially the same thing is Unsplash, freely used images. You can see here what's trending, and the different options we have here. You might notice some overlap with some of these, but for the most part, if I can't find something in Pexels, I'll go to Unsplash next, because they usually have other creators, so we can see automatically that our search is very different from the last one that we had. So that's convenient. If we need more variety, here's another great free, totally reachable option. Let's see what other sites I have to show you. Creative Commons is actually really great to know about. So with licensing for image stuff, there's essentially a delineation between what's considered art, use for fine art, and what would be more commercial. And one has to do with how you make money on that, and the rights and money use are different. It can sometimes be a pretty big pain to get a license, like a true license, to license a design that you make, let's say, right? I've known, like, for example, I knew a graphic designer who had a design taken from Target, and like printed on a t-shirt, and she didn't get any credit for it. But if she had licensed it, right, which is a process, you have to go to the government and give them money and do a form, then she couldn't have claimed anything for that. But Creative Commons is a really nice place to actually license your work. They're for creatives, so it's much cheaper, and they have a lot of support. So I think that they also have their, let's see, maybe it's in here. Here. So their license is separated into 6. And this is a pretty standard use of licensing. And these go from least restrictive to most restrictive. So first is just you have to give credit. So no matter what, if you take a picture off of this site, unlike Unsplash or um, Pexels, you have to give credit always if you take something from here. The next one says that you can redistribute, remix, adapt, such as what we're going to be doing, right? The picture in any format as long as you give credit. Credit and adaptations with credit, same terms. Next means that you are allowed to remix and distribute any material only for non-commercial purposes. So now we're starting to delineate the difference between a commercial and a non-commercial purpose, which essentially means if you're going to be making money from it, you probably don't want to use that picture for something. And of course, crediting the creator. This is essentially, and you can see the symbols here starting to stack up. So here's, credit, you have to say who it's by, and NC stands for non-commercial. So here we have that you have to give credit, it is non-commercial, and you can change them. And the most restrictive options are these last two. The first one says credit has to be given and you cannot change it in any way. So if you see this ND, which means no derivatives, if you see that symbol, you can't use it. Don't use it for your art. Don't use it for any kind of regular commercial project. These are just, they're a waste for us. So, because you can't change anything with them. We can't be writing text on it or anything like that. So that's not any good. And this is around the same thing, only non-commercial, no derivatives, and credit must be given. So those are no fun. But so they have a huge range of licenses and that you can not only look up, but also pictures that you can use that have, different, these are different series. They usually suggest other artists in there. And the last one's Pixabay here. Pixabay is very similar to Pexels and Unsplash, excuse me. And again, it's just another place for you to get a little more variety if you need it. You can also see that they have video available, which again can be super convenient for somebody if you're making something, maybe if you're doing social media for a site and they want moving images because that's what people want. You can also look up videos on this. And I think most of these sites have video available. So we can look up what their sky looks like, and their skies are much more dramatic, right, than the blue skies we got here or these sunset skies that we got. So you can see how we have a nice distribution of pictures here. The next one that I want to show you is Adobe Stock. I have Adobe, so let me sign in and I'll show you what it looks like. So Adobe Stock looks very similar to what we've been seeing, but they are really quite beautiful. They're really high-end video footage, 4K and HD stock footage, premium stock images and backgrounds. They have templates and even vector art, so if you're ever needing to do something that's vectorized, normally that would be through a different Adobe software like InDesign or Illustrator. You can use vector illustrations, stock music and audio, which is really nice if, again, you're making video. They're all really high end. So I really like this site. It's just most of us aren't going to pay for this. If we're lucky, we're going to pay for Photoshop, right? However, that doesn't mean that a potential client can't pay for it for you. So if I were to have a project, let's say, where I know that I can't take the pictures for something myself, maybe I'm making a menu. I don't know. Let's see. Maybe the menu is kind of cheating. Let's say I'm someone wants me to make a bunch of calendars for somebody, right? And they want the calendars to be able to be really large, to be able to go, I don't know, like in a bank or an office building where it's like in a communal area. And it's a terrible, terrible example. So I might be able to use something like this. Like, let's say I have a client that asks me to produce something, and they're very high end, and they're asking me to do something in a pretty large project. I might tell them, if this is going to be something that's large and not, just something that's thumbnail sized on a cell phone or something, you might want to get higher resolution videos and photographs for this. And then you can just include this in your invoice, right, as something else that they are paying for you to have in order to complete their project. So that's a very long-winded way of saying that I understand that you're probably not going to pay for this, but that doesn't mean that somebody else won't for you in order to complete a project. Of course, another really great place to find pictures is Google itself. However, you have to make sure that we're using correct licensing here. So if you click Tools and select Usage Rights, we can see Creative Commons and commercial licenses, and we can make sure that we're using the correct licensing to use on it. Google is sometimes really limited in their selection, but I'm not going to lie, I do use Google often. So one of the things that we also have available to us is anything that's public domain, and public domain means it is owned by the public. The public here being Americans, right? Those of us who are paying taxes have access to public domain images. These are things like NASA or the National Park Service. These are services that are paid for by our taxes, and that means we have access to them and we can use them. So there might be a reason I need to have a buffalo for a picture, and I've never photographed a buffalo. So I can come here and take pictures of, certain mountains or, animals that they've had the ability to see. I honestly love NASA's images. I check out this site pretty often, and I like to use them at some point in my work. I take galaxy pictures all of the time, so cool. And they have nice images of the day every day. It's different. The image library we can check out here. So, I can just something basic, right? Because they have 1,000 of these. And you can start seeing these different pictures of galaxies. Some of these you might recognize because they've been published very publicly. But you can take this and incorporate this into anything that you make, which is pretty awesome. And they're very, large, high resolution pictures for the most part. And they allow us to just simply download it, which is pretty cool. The same with the, excuse me, the National Park Service here. You can check out some of these images here, and this is gorgeous. So I assume that there's an easy place. Here we go. Simply download it, and here's a place to share it as well. So pretty much intuitive, easy enough to use. All right. And the last thing that is considered public domain is anything that has had an expired license. And a really great way to talk about this is Steamboat Willie, which is the first iteration of Mickey Mouse, is going to have an expired license very soon. I think the licensing is supposed to be 70 years. And Disney is fighting pretty hard to, get another extension for it. Because once that is truly expired, then this becomes public domain and anyone can use this image of Mickey. Now, bear in mind, Mickey has gotten gloves and color, and there's been like 1,000 iterations since. So those are not on the table. But this particular image is. And other versions of things like that have become public domain because they don't have a license or expired license can be like the Happy Birthday song. The idea of the Christian Bible is not licensed by anyone or copyrighted by anyone, but a particular iteration that's written by a specific person can be copyrighted, right? So I can't copyright the Bible as a story, but I can copyright my draft of it. That's just another example here. All right, cool. So these are the sites that you can use here, and let's just take a picture to start playing with. And I'll make a little album cover with you guys. This is fine. So it tells you who the people are if you want to follow, donate them, or credit them as a collaborator. And you can see other that are considered more like this. They're giving me more, pinkish skies or images taken by this person. Um, and to collect it or download it is really easy. You can select this free download button or take this drop down, and you'll see that there's multiple options here. Always take the largest picture. If you need to make the picture smaller when you're done, you can resize it. But you don't want to start with something that's small and try to make it bigger. That's how things become really low quality and pixelated. So I'm going to take the original one.